This was a story that I have been following for a while. But the reason why I never made a video about it prematurely is because I wanted to see what the outcome of it was going to be. So I'm assuming that many of you will not know who these two in this picture are, but they play a huge role in a case that I've been following for well over a year. So as you know, I have been following the Richard Collins III case ever since it first happened about now 3 years ago, and the Sean Urbanski trial, which we know wrapped up at the end of last year, in which he has been found guilty. And the next time I speak with him will most likely be in April. I don't know did I just say next year? I meant to say maybe next month. Forgive me if I mess myself up. When he gets sentenced for his crimes. But in this picture is Richard Collins III's mother and father. Now, I never talked about them really at all in a video of their own. But the story that I have been following with this particular case is that his parents, along with some other people, were trying to get Maryland to pass a hate crime bill, or a hate crime law. As you know, they were trying to sentence Sean Urbanski with a hate crime attached to him, but because Maryland did not have a hate crime a hate crime law on the books, they really couldn't charge him with one. You know, they had to fight tooth and nail to get Dylan Roof on the hate crime because South Carolina didn't have one until after that happened. And I always think that is a travesty that a lot of these states don't have hate crime laws until after a hate crime is committed, even with the amount of hate crimes that have been committed over the years, especially against black people. Well, even after all of this, I can now proudly say that Maryland now has a hate crime law on the books that has been named in the honor of Richard Collins III. It's unfortunate considering how long Maryland as a state has been around, but you know, back then they really didn't call stuff hate crimes and stuff like that, because that was something that happened to Richard Collins III would have been deemed as legal in the eyes of many people. And it's also unfortunate that it took the death of this man who was on his way to doing great things for them to finally put a hate crime law on the books. So I'm going to read this article and see what other information I can come up with. Now, the date is March 18th, 2020, and it was posted 18 hours ago, so it was posted on the 17th. Amid a flurry of legislating before a planned coronavirus shutdown, the Maryland General Assembly passed a bill Monday that would make it easier to convict someone accused of a hate crime. The legislation, which expands the definition of what would be considered a hate crime, is named after Second Lieutenant Richard Collins. Collins, a black Bowie State University senior, was stabbed to death in 2017 near a bus stop on the University of Maryland's campus. As the law currently reads, a person cannot commit certain crimes because of another person's or group's race, color, religious belief, sexual orientation, gender, disability, or national origin, or because another person or group is homeless. The bill removes the words "because of," so the statute would instead read that certain crimes cannot be motivated either in whole or substantial part by factors such as race. Courts sometimes interpreted the words "because of" to mean that prosecutors needed to prove that hate was the sole motive for a crime, said Aisha Braveboy, the state's attorney for Prince George's County. That has made prosecuting hate crimes an almost impossible task, she said, because there are mixed motivations behind most crimes. Sean Urbanski, a white former student at this university, was convicted in 2019 of first-degree murder of Collins' killing, but the hate crime charge against him was dropped. A Prince George's County judge decided state prosecutors hadn't brought enough evidence to show Urbanski had killed Collins because of his race. And there's that word, because of. So basically, after revise myself. So apparently Maryland did have a hate crime law on the books, but the way that it was written, it would not have benefited for the people that it should have. And it actually worked against them rather than for them. See, it worked in favor of Sean Urbanski, which is why he didn't get hit with the hate crime law or the hate crime charge, even though this clearly was a hate crime. But now that, you know, everything worked itself out the way that it did, now it can actually, you know, in case something like this ever happens again, it should, and I have to say it should instead of it will, it should work the way that it should work. Prosecutors presented a series of racist memes saved to Urbanski's phone and emphasized that Urbanski was a member of a white supremacist Facebook group called Alt-Right Nation. The defense pointed to Urbanski's drunkenness as the reason behind the killing, saying he couldn't remember committing the crime. The bill comes after Collins' family pushed for changes to the law. The day after the charges were dropped and the day Urbanski was convicted of murder, the family spoke at a press conference and announced they intended to see changes to Maryland's hate crime law. We want the world to know that we're going to continue to fight for his legacy, Collins' father, Richard Collins II, said at the conference. Ilana Jones, the University of Maryland's NAACP president, said that she heard about the plan push from Collins' mother, Dawn Collins, soon after the judge gave the verdict. Jones said she was surprised that Maryland did not have a more robust hate crime law already in place, but she was surprised too by the legislators' widespread support for the bill. It passed with overwhelming support in both chambers. Surprised in a good way. She said, very, very happy, feeling a lot more relief. But there's more to Collins' death than its political ramifications. He was murdered. He was never supposed to be a martyr. Jones says she's amazed by the way both campuses, this university and Bowie State University, have banded together in support of Collins' parents and the foundation they named in honor of their son, the Second Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Foundation. This is a huge legislation. This is not only justice for their son, but it will continue to make impacts for any other person in Maryland who faces something similar. The bill's passing comes as the General Assembly is rushing a number of bills through its doors before adjourning Wednesday due to the spread of the virus. The bill still needs Governor Larry Hogan's signature. Well, hopefully Larry Hogan signs it. I mean, I know they got their hands tied because of this virus as of right now. So like I said, I had to correct myself. So Maryland did have a hate crime law on the books, but the way that it was written, like I said, worked more so against Richard Collins III and not for him, and worked for Sean Urbanski in order for him to not get charged with the hate crime law instead of against him, in which they would have kept it on the books. And the thing is, it was there. The hate crime law was there. And it literally got removed after the closing arguments from both sides. If they didn't not remove this, they probably would have sentenced Sean Urbanski a whole lot faster. But now, you know, we just got to wait. Like I said, this was months ago. So April is next month. So let's just sentence the bastard and send him up the river, please. And thank you. But I have to definitely give a shout out to his parents, because I know they have been going through a lot for these last 2.5 to 3 years, because it'll be 3 years in May, because he got killed literally a couple days before he was set to graduate. And I know that was a very emotional time, because I saw the pictures in which his dad went up on the stage and accepted his degree in his honor. And I remember seeing his classmates, they had put his gown and cap and whatever honors he received on his, what would have been his chair had he graduated. So, you know, it's very unfortunate that that happened to him, because like I said, he was so young. He had his whole life ahead of him. I read what he was trying to do and accomplish in the future. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was going to be something amazing, something life-changing for sure. But thanks to that palm-colored delinquent known as Sean Urbanski, that'll never happen. So hopefully Sean Urbanski will get what's coming to him when he gets locked up. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Have your notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in the next one.